Hey guys, so today I'm going to be telling you about the aliens in our skies. Okay, no, really though. Let's talk about the drones today. Let's talk a little bit about what is behind this and legislation that's coming out that you really need to know about. So this UFO whistleblower tells Congress that we are not alone in the universe. We've been seeing all these big testimonies from these so-called whistleblowers. Now, I'm not buying into it. I personally do not believe that they have any access to aliens. In fact, Edward Snowden even said he looked everywhere and he couldn't find any evidence of aliens. Well, let me tell you what I think is actually happening and how it's leading up to legislation that's being justified under this. Well, in case you didn't know, the government has said, don't worry about the drones. Well, why would they say that? If they also say at the same time, we don't know who they are. Now, some of this is coming out more recently that there is a federal connection to this. Now, I'm going to show you why. Now, first off, I covered this on video a few times. 30,000 domestic drones are to fill our skies. This is an article from 2012. I did at least one video on it. I might have done a couple. But this is basically our government in the U.S. has authorized the allowance of 30,000 drones over USA skies. And of course, everyone is talked about how it is serious privacy concerns. Well, this might be connected. In fact, what's interesting about this whole situation is that there are people posting photos of these drones, and the federal government apparently is coming to visit them. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
So apparently the feds show up if you post those lights on TikTok. Last week I posted a video about those 12 lights that I saw fall out of the sky on my way home. Not at the same time, they fell individually. Well, my boyfriend's coworker also saw them and he caught them on film and he posted them on TikTok. And apparently they showed up to his door and he was asked to delete the video. And every time I use Cape Cod as a location tag, I get a notification stating that the video is restricted due to the location being an invalid location tag. So it's safe to say I was right about them not being shooting stars.
So for anybody who thinks that these are in any way alien related, I'm sorry to burst the bubble. This isn't the case. And maybe some are late to the news on this, but I've mentioned in the past that I do not believe there's any alien involvement on it. But of course, government says, don't worry about it. Don't take any pictures of it. And even Rand Paul had something to say about this. Rand Paul actually has talked about this new legislation. They're using this to justify actually breaking into your phones without a warrant. They're saying they need the ability to shut down drones. Interestingly, how everything just happens to line up to allow this passing of legislation, and how they're going to actually use these drone stories in the mainstream media in order to justify sweeping legislation that will violate the civil liberties of the American people, that they are actually allowing them to use no warrant to break into it. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what Rand Paul said about this.
The bill before us would grant law enforcement significant authority to intercept private electronic communications without consent. For example, the bill would allow the government to conduct dragnet surveillance of the phones innocent Americans traveling through U.S. airports as long as the government claims they are doing it to neutralize a drone. So in order to look at the information that might be coming to a drone, it may be that you capture all the information of everybody surrounding an airport. Or everybody.
Listen, we know that laws are not being followed with mass surveillance. We know this. And it's unfortunate that videos on this channel don't get well promoted. But, if you share them, it's a really big help on the channel. So if you could share the video, whatever video you think is useful, just share it somewhere. And I appreciate your help sharing this. The fact is that all of these drones, it is well established that they were going to allow 30,000 drones over the American skies, and that they are now using these mystery drones, these so-called mystery drones. And there's also, talk about it being used to detect nuclear stuff. Well, they also have drones out there that map out people's devices. They also have drones that map out people's devices. I'm going to show you also something you can use that I wrote that may be able to help you identify where these drones are coming from. In fact, if you take a look at my script, mactrack, that I wrote a little while back, and I might make some more updates to this in the future. Now, what it does is it allows you to take any Linux device with, full monitor radio tap mode, and you can turn that into a sniffer by running this. Now, when you run this, what it does is it picks up all Wi-Fi devices that are not connected to a Wi-Fi device. So if there are any Wi-Fi devices in any drones, for instance, those saved networks are going to be spit out on your screen using the mactrack script. So if you wanted to identify, for instance, the actual networks that belong to a piece of given hardware, well, if you run this script, you'll be able to detect all of the networks where they actually are. It also prints out the GPS locations of the saved networks. So in case you aren't caught up on some of my reporting on this, that our Wi-Fi devices are constantly sharing our saved networks when they're not connected to a network. It's another reason in WiFi I added the W flag to allow you to kill the Wi-Fi device automatically anytime you leave home. So your device won't be spitting those out. So while I introduce some of the problems with privacy and security, I also introduce solutions. I try not to, just introduce problems without presenting a solution. So you could actually use this, and I actually have, in fact, detected different types of cameras on certain things flying in the skies. Well, you can do that because you're able to detect the OUI, which is the brand name, and it's the first 3 octets in the actual MAC address for a Wi-Fi device. And you can then track down the brand. From there, you may be able to track down the model. You can also track down the saved networks that it was ever connected to. So you get a full pattern of life on devices when you use something like mactrack. So I hope you guys like this video. I think it all comes down to the fact that things are being unleashed for, surveillance, and it's being used to justify, as we see with Rand Paul speaking on this legislation, that they're going to be able to break into anyone's phone who's in the vicinity of a drone. And if there's 30,000 drones over American skies, well, that pretty much means everyone's phone. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be back later with more on how to protect your security and privacy.